You might wonder why I'm holding this alternator in my hands, and I'm going to tell you why I'm doing this. A really short video on the charging system, I guess. I have an alternator here. That is a perfectly good alternator. And I also have an alternator here on my car, which is supposedly good too. Well, I just installed it, and it's not a brand new alternator. I went the cheap way, and I chipped out and I bought a used alternator. I already had a used alternator, but it didn't really work for me. So on these cars, on these engines, N52 and N51, so these engines are used on a number of different BMW cars, and apparently there are two types of alternators, and that's the reason why I just replaced this alternator that actually is fine. It's working, it's generating a voltage and current, and it's charging the battery and everything, but it's giving me a code. So basically, in a nutshell, this is the wrong type of alternator. It physically fits these engines no matter what car it comes from. I have an E90 N52 engine here. This alternator came off an N52 engine that was in a Z4, I think. And like I said, physically these alternators are pretty much the same. This one is slightly smaller, but you can install it physically. All the bolt patterns are the same. The charging, well, the cable, the big cable that hooks up to this stud is the same size. The plug for the connector for the electronics is exactly the same on both types of alternators. But this one, like I said, gives a code, and the code doesn't produce a check engine light, so you would not really see the check engine light if you install this alternator. But if you scan for codes like I did for unrelated issues, well, I hope not. It's not something related to this. I think it's not, but we'll have to see. Maybe it was. Maybe I created more related problems and trouble by installing the wrong type of alternator. We shall see. Well, I'm going to talk about those problems in a different video because it's something that really surprised me, I guess. My car surprised me this year. This alternator, it's 155 amps, and this one here is, I think, 170 or 180 amps. This one is a Bosch model, and this one is a Bosch model. So they are both made by Bosch. But like I said, this one is 155 amps, this one is 180 amps. And so you can see the alternators are kind of slightly different. You can't tell them apart. So this one that works for E90, at least for this year and model year, whatever, it's more of a square design, so there is no like rounded edges. This one is, on the other hand, slightly a bit rounder, I guess. So this part, so I guess I'm trying to just describe what it is, so when you are buying an alternator, so you may not run into the same issue that I have had. And yeah, this one is slightly kind of roundish, and that's more of a square as far as the barrel or the case shape is. So I guess what I'm trying to say here, if you ever go shopping for an alternator and you have an E90, for example, with N52 engine, so don't buy an alternator that fits Z4, the same engine, but Z4 chassis. So, well, that's pretty much all that I wanted to talk about today. So like I said, this gives you a code. You will not see the code until you scan. The check engine will not come on, so you may not know that you have a problem. unless you start having other electrical issues. So that is another interesting thing that I can talk about. So I'm going to make a separate video, and that may actually be really interesting or helpful to like a lot of people, maybe, potentially. I'm going to be talking about the gauge cluster. So now I'm going to put this in a trash bin. So I have to finish reassembling this. I have to put the rest of the things back on. This car has so much fun stuff going on all the time. Like whatever happened to the electronics or to the gauge cluster, this is so bizarre that like it's just blew my mind, like totally. And there might be a reason why it did this to me. This car can read my mind. So I really don't know if this car is just making fun of me or it's just hating me. I hope it doesn't hate me, because I spend so much time with it. I don't know how it can hate me for. I'm putting the best things on this car that I can. Well, maybe it's not good enough, as it always is in this life, but I'm trying. And if that's not good enough, well, maybe that's why it's doing this to me. In any case, this is it for this video. I hope it was some helpful information to someone and maybe a little bit entertaining at the same time. So thanks for watching, and subscribe possibly, and follow my channel, and I'll see you in the future.
Bye.